Hello everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. We are coming back with some more SCP Resurrection reading. The first one we're starting off with, and possibly the only one, just kind of depends on how long it is, because these seemed a little on the longer side, is Girls' Night Out by Dr. Clef. Starting with dressing up, then getting drunk, and finally raising hell. But without further ado, let us begin. Girls' Night Out. Dressing up. Breakfast arrived at 0700 every day. Iris tried to make sure that she was showered, her bed was made, and her quarters were clean and neat by then. Not that she particularly cared about the white-coated man with the food what the white-coated man with the food trays thought of her, but it was the principle of the thing. She sat at her desk, reading a dog-eared novel, waiting for the knock on her door. When it came, she was surprised to also hear a female voice saying, "Hello, Miss Thompson?" She opened the door curiously. There was an attractive woman of indeterminate race standing there, smiling pleasantly. She was dressed in a neat suit in light gray, over a pale blue dress shirt. The name badge clipped to her lapel read Adams and had a lambda symbol on it, crossed with the number 2. Mobile task forces, then? I'm not familiar with Lambda 2. Must be a new one. Iris Thompson, the woman said. Andrea Adams, I'm the head of your security detail. I was just wondering if you'd like to join me for breakfast. Iris glanced up and down the hallway. The 2 guards at the end of the hall had their weapons slung over their shoulder. They seemed unconcerned about the containment breach. One of them gave her a smile and a thumbs up. Iris said cautiously, this must be breaking a ton of rules. Your SCP file was updated this morning, the woman said. You're being allowed Class 4 privileges. Consider it thanks for saving all those lives. Funny that they didn't give me these privileges 3 weeks ago, right after the incident. I think you mean my reward for joining Alpha 9? Iris said. You really want to stay in that cell? Just accept the damn reward. All right, Iris said reluctantly. Shall we go? Not yet. Blue scrubs are so last year. Here, Adam thrust a plastic grocery bag towards the other woman. I'll wait for you to change. Time passes. These jeans feel weird, Iris said. My legs feel all constricted. Did I get your size wrong? Adam said, or asked. I looked up the report from your last physical. The jeans are fine, I just haven't worn jeans in 9 years, Iris pointed out. I'd almost forgotten how to tie shoelaces, too. Special containment procedures humanoids were only allowed soft slippers, less opportunity to hang yourself or improvise a weapon without shoelaces. Well, hopefully you'll have a chance to get back into practice in the near future, Adam said. She opened the door of the Site 17 cafeteria. After you. The din of conversation in the mess hall didn't ebb as the 2 women entered. Word of Iris's updated containment procedures must have gotten around. No one turned to gawk at the SCP walking freely in the restricted area. A few of them did stare at the strikingly attractive woman in the gray skirt suit. Probably some of those stares were also intended for her. The moderately attractive one in the t-shirt and jeans. It was strange how comforting just being looked at felt, compared to wondering if the armed agent was going to decide that you're taking a life-threatening action and go for his weapon. Adams shrugged off the stares like rain and walked confidently up to the counter, picking up 2 orange plastic trays and passing one to Iris. Hey, Flames, she said to the bearded man in the white chef's apron. 1 Denver omelet special. She glanced over at Iris. What do you want? I'll buy. Oh, Iris felt a brief moment of panic. She hadn't had to decide what to have for breakfast in years. She thought back over the variety of meals that had arrived in her cell room door, arrived at her cell room door over the years, and settled on one that she found the most appealing. Bagel, cream cheese, and fruit salad, please. Ah, yes, breakfast menu 12, the bearded man said. You don't need me for that. You can pick up continental breakfast stuff at the cold bar. Oh, I'm sorry, Iris stammered. It's all right, the bearded man smiled pleasantly. First time in my cafeteria, Miss Thompson? Well, yes, Iris said nervously. No problem. Hope to see you again later. If you come back for dinner, I'm making my special chili, which you should not eat unless you want to suffer the wrath of SCP-666 and a half, Adams interrupted. I'm not familiar with that one, Iris said seriously. Which containment block is he in? Both Adam and Flames laughed out loud. Time passes. Alright, so SCP-666 and a half is horrible digestive problems, Iris said. SCP-006-J is gigantic bugs, and SCP-095-J is Comic Sans. Any other stupid in-jokes I should know about so I don't embarrass myself again? Nope. That's about it, Adam said. I'm surprised you never picked them up during your time in mobile task forces. I hung out with geeks, Iris said. They mostly made jokes about Portal and Half-Life. SCP-003 Lambda is a video game that has the anomalous property of never being completed ever, that sort of thing. I guess even a group like ours has its cliques and circles. I suppose it's inevitable in an organization as large as ours. Iris picked up her knife and began spreading cream cheese over her toasted bagel. I suppose that's true. Adam smiled. You agree then? You're a member of the Foundation? When did I ever say that? Right now, you referred to our organization, and you didn't. I referred to our organization, and you didn't object. Maybe I'm not one of those Sherlock types that pick up on a tiny turn of phrase. Not everyone makes a big deal out of the specific words people choose. You also took an interest in the in-jokes among staff, Adams pointed out. Which means you have an interest in being part of our culture. So what the fuck's your point? Iris took a vicious bite out of her innocent bagel. No point. Just trying to get to know the person they want me to take a bullet for. Adams picked up another forkful of omelette and chewed thoughtfully. Iris took a bite of her fruit salad. The silence continued. You're supposed to ask me something like, well, or, and what do you think? Adams prompted gently. What? Does this conversation have a script now? Iris retorted. Your containment file didn't say anything about sarcasm. All right then. Here it is without sarcasm, Iris said, spearing a piece of cantaloupe on her fork. As long as you do your job, I don't care what you think about me. You're my minder, not my friend. Uh, uh. Adams waved her fork in Iris's general direction. If I'm not your friend, then who is? All my friends are dead, killed by him. Iris looked down into her fruit salad. The dark red grapes looked back up at her. Is he really that frightening? Adams asked. There was no accusation in her voice, just genuine curiosity and concern. Iris closed her eyes. He's like... Have you ever looked into the eyes of a shark? I've never seen a shark, not in real life, Adams said. Neither have I. But I've looked into Abel's eyes, and I think that if a shark were human, that's the kind of eyes they would have, Iris said. The kind of eyes who would kill 1 billion people just to see their corpses would look like strewn from here to the horizon. I can understand why that would be. You don't understand, Iris interrupted. I wasn't afraid that Abel would kill me. I was afraid that I'd be the one he'd keep alive to see it happen. She pushed her fruit salad away. She wasn't hungry anymore. Adams, meanwhile, had cleaned her plate. She folded her paper napkin up and tossed it into her tray, then leaned back on her flimsy plastic chair and tapped her fingertips against her lips. How do you feel about taking a trip off site? She asked. Iris laughed. Then she stopped laughing. Wait, you're serious? Class 4 privileges include limited off-site incursions. So long as you're accompanied by Foundation security personnel, I happen to count as Foundation security personnel, Adams said. You should feel flattered. There aren't many skips with Class 4 privileges. I don't know. Come on, Adams said. It'll be fun. We can go shopping for clothes and giggle a lot and try on jewelry and drink Cosmos and gossip about boys and pretend I'm actually your friend and not just your bodyguard. All right, Iris said, except for the gossip about boys part. So, Adams asked, any thoughts on... time passes. So, Adams asked, any thoughts on what you want to do? She'd changed her clothes in the intervening time. Black jeans, a sleeveless top that looked like a Tiffany lampshade, and a pair of black velvet shoes with dangerously high heels. Iris felt envious of the older woman's ability to walk in those things, or the bold confidence with which she climbed into the driver's seat of the blue sports car in the parking lot. Not at all, Iris said. I was just following your lead. Well, first of all, we need to get you some clothes. I know the Foundation provides uniforms, but a girl can't wear digicam and tack gear all the time. After that, I'm thinking we grab some dinner at this awesome wine bar uptown. You like wine? I actually don't know, Iris admitted. I've never had any alcohol before. Adams gave Iris a significant look over the tops of her sunglasses. I was 13 when the Foundation recruited me, 15 when Omega-7 was shut down, and I spent the 9 years after that in a cell, Iris pointed out. Alcohol has never really been in the picture. So, you never had a 21st birthday? Adams asked. No? A slow, devious smile spread across Adam's lips. I know exactly what we're going to do tonight, she said. I'm not buying it, Iris said. Come on, it'll bring out your eyes. No, Iris said angrily. Adam sighed and put the baby blue halter top back on the rack. They were 3 stores into their shopping trip. Their pile of bags was, quite frankly, ridiculous. Iris wasn't sure how the hell they were going to lift them all into the trunk of Adam's car, which brought up another issue. Where the hell am I going to put this? I don't exactly have a closet big enough to store all this. You'll get one, Adam said. You're due for a living quarters upgrade. Class 4 privileges? Yep, yet another carrot for being a good girl. Adams rummaged through a rack of cardigans. You know, maybe I've been getting it all wrong. Everything we've bought so far has been girl next door, but I bet you could totally rock the hipster look. Horn-rimmed glasses, knit beanie, tartans. I don't need glasses, Iris said. Neither do I. Doesn't mean I don't look damn good in them. Iris pulled the white cardigan out of the rack and held it up to Iris. She frowned, shook her head, and replaced it on the rack. I'm not seeing anything I really like. Should we move on? Sure. Where next? I think we could hit up another department store, but I think you've got enough casual wear. Adams grinned. I think it's time to buy you a suit. Time passes. I feel ridiculous, Iris said. You look badass, Adams said. How come these pockets are all sewn shut? Iris poked a finger at her jacket pocket, annoyed. Because women's fashion sucks that way, Adams pointed out. Give me a minute with a razor blade and I can fix that for you. Not that you'll want to put anything more than a handkerchief in there unless you want to ruin the lines. Damn, that reminds me. Purses. We need to get you some purses and shoes. We need to do this again soon, Iris whimpered. 8 hours in the mall trying on dozens of outfits, enduring Adam's never-ending critiques and opinions on fashion, and the younger woman was exhausted. They had stopped only to have a quick lunch on the food court before rushing off to continue shopping. Iris wanted nothing more than to collapse into her cot and take a nap. Adams, on the other hand, seemed like she could keep this up for days if she wanted. The woman was a machine. She was tuning out Adams' rambling monologues regarding future fashion expeditions when a familiar-looking sign caught her eye. She cleared her throat. "Hey, Adams? Call me Andrea," the older woman said. "What's up?" All her hands being full, Iris gestured at the store with her chin. Adams smiled. "Ah, sure. Let's check that out." "Welcome to Camera Shack," a bored-looking teenager behind the counter said. "Can I help you with anything?" "Yeah," Iris said. She ruthlessly dumped her double armful of clothing into Adam's arms. "Where's your Polaroid film?" "Polaroid?" The pimply-faced teen said dubiously. "Yes," Iris said. "I need some film for a one-step 600. "Shit, I don't think we've carried that in years. Hang on, let me get my manager." He climbed down off his stool and opened up the door to the back room. "Hey, Greg," he shouted. "Yeah?" a voice called back. "We got a lady out here asking about Polaroid film." "Hang on." There was a shuffling sound and then a clink of tools. Then an older man in a plaid shirt with an impressively large beard came out of the back room. "Polaroid, huh? You and me both, kid." The man was sympathetic. "What model?" One step 600, Iris said. GI, or G1. "Oh, whoa. That one's a classic," the older man said. "Yeah, we haven't carried 600 series since Polaroid went out of business in 2008. Oh, oh, Iris said in a small voice. "There's this company, calls itself Impossible, brought out the machinery and manufactures the film under a new label. You could try them." "Can you put in an order for me, then?" "I could, but to be honest, it would be easier for you to just order it online. It would arrive in about the same time, and you could probably get it for cheaper," the older man said. "Oh, thank you." "Hey, no problem." The older man gave her a friendly smile. "Just glad to see someone out there still appreciates the classics, you know?" "Thanks," Iris said. Adams waited until they were in the car before asking the question that was on both of their minds. "Is this going to be a problem?" "I don't know," Iris admitted. "I tried off-brand film once and it didn't work as well as the real stuff, but it could have been a quality of manufacture issue." She gazed quietly out the window, her contemplation only slightly ruined by a gigantic pile of clothes and boxes stuffed into the back seat of the tiny blue sports car. "You know, I never did get a clear story about your abilities," Adam said. "Does the type of camera matter?" "I'm not sure," Iris said. "With my old camera, I get full manipulation of the scene, real-time window. Other cameras, it depends on a lot of things. Camera quality, sharpness of picture, development time, other Polaroids work best. One theory was that the sooner the negatives get printed, the better the fidelity." Hmm. "So, one reason why the Polaroid works so well might not be the camera itself, but the speed at which it develops photos?" Adam said thoughtfully. "That's one theory. We never really tested it, though," Iris said. Adams immediately pulled a U-turn across the 3 lanes of traffic, prompting a loud honk from irate drivers. "What the fuck?" Iris shouted. "We're going back to the mall," Adams said, her jaw set with determination. Hello, the chipper young Hello, the chipper young woman in khakis and blue polo shirt said. "Welcome, but I need to buy your tablet and buy a tablet and a smartphone," Adams said forcefully. "Okay?" The Best Buy employee stammered. "Which brand?" "I don't care." Adams took off her sunglasses and fixed the hapless employee with an intense stare. "Just show me the ones with the most megapixels." Time passes. "We're gonna get in trouble," Iris groaned. We can't get in trouble. This is what they're asking you to do, right? Adams placed the empty smartphone box on the roof of the car, next to the box from the tablet computer. They want me on a mobile task force, yeah, Iris pointed out, but it hasn't even been activated yet. Call it a training exercise then. Adams stepped away from the car and glanced up and down the beach. At this time of year, the beach was nearly empty of tourists. All right, she said, give it a shot. How? I don't know where the shutter button is. There's all sorts of little pictures and stuff. Oh, for crying out loud. I keep forgetting you've never seen a smartphone before. Press that, then press this, then to take a picture, touch this thing here. Get it? Oh, all right, Iris muttered. Here goes. She held up the tablet computer in front of her eyes and tapped part of the screen where Adams indicated. There was a flash of blue light, painfully bright, in the dimming orange sunset. A moment or two later, an image of the two empty cardboard boxes sitting on the roof of Adam's car appeared on the screen. Okay, Iris said dubiously. What now? Well, give it a try. Do your thing, Adams said. Iris swallowed hard. She timidly placed her hand upon the smooth cold glass. She flinched. Feels weird. Does it hurt? Not exactly, more like trying to push my hand through tightly packed wet sand. Iris took a deep breath and pushed a bit harder. Her fingertips sank into the glass like still water. At the same time, a ghostly image of a hand appeared in the air in front of Adams's car and pushed against the two boxes. They tipped over onto their sides. Nice work, Adams said admiringly. That's gonna come in handy. I'm out of practice, and this thing doesn't feel right. Iris frowned. Her fingertips were a bit numb. Rubbing her hands together helped. With my old camera, I could have picked up one of the boxes and stacked them on top of each other. Well, keep practicing, Adam said. If you can pull it off with a digital, you wouldn't be limited by the amount of film you're carrying. Yeah, Iris wiped her fingers on the hem of her t-shirt. I think there might be a knack to it that I just don't get yet. Well, if all else fails, you've at least got a neat little toy to play around with, Adam said. I'm not sure what I'd ever use it for, but thanks, Iris said. You say that now, but wait until I show you YouTube. YouTube? That stupid little site with the home videos? Oh man, you have no idea, Adams grinned. They threw the boxes into the trash and got back into the car. Most people, when they found out about my powers, start talking about the ways I could use them to kill people, Iris said. Your site profile says that's a bad subject to bring up with you, so I didn't. Adams checked her rearview mirror and pulled out of the parking space. Oh. Iris looked out the car window as they headed down the coast highway. Yeah, they tried to make me do it, but I refused. Locked myself in my quarters. They threatened to drag me out of my room, but the Omega-7 guys wouldn't let them. Your mobile task force got in a fight with site security? Oh, yeah, Iris said, a fond, happy smile crossed her face. The first peaceful expression Adams had seen all day. They set up a barricade in the hallway outside my room. Oversight threatened to demote them all to D-class. Adrian told them to suck his ass. Adrian? Adam's brow furrowed. Adrian Andrews, yeah, Iris said. They called him AA. He was kind of like a big brother to me, and he and Beats. Beats? Beatrix Maddox, his fiancée. Iris flinched as she remembered how that love story had ended. She soldiered on. She died. He died too. I can't remember how. A lot of us don't remember the details about things that happened back then. Some kind of CK class restructuring, but when I think about it, I feel sick and sad, so I'm sure it was horrible. Something caught Iris's eye. Adams was gripping the wheel tightly. Her knuckles were actually turning white. The expression on the older woman's face was blank and still. Empty, even. Are you okay? Iris asked. Adams replied, "Yeah, I'm fine." Her voice was completely calm and collected as she released the steering wheel from its death grip. "Well, we're here now," she said cheerfully. "We'd better get inside and then get you can get changed." "Why the hell would I want to get changed?" Iris asked. "Well, you seriously want to what? You seriously want to go clubbing in jeans and a t-shirt?" "Clubbing?" Iris was perplexed. Then she got concerned. Then she saw the beach house. "Adams?" she asked. "Where exactly are we?" Time passes. "We're definitely going to get in trouble now," Iris groaned. This is the kind. This has some. This has to break some kind of regulation misuse of Foundation resources, maybe. If an agent comes to needing. If an agent comes by needing to hide, he can duck behind your shopping, Adams said primly. Besides, I don't think he'll complain over much about laying low in a safe house with a pair of pretty ladies. "You're a bad influence," Iris moaned. "You're going to get me demoted before I even join the teams. Aren't you supposed to be protecting me?" "From bullets, not bad decisions. Shower's upstairs. We have 1 hour until our dinner reservation." She pulled her smartphone from her pocket and began to dial. Iris shook her head and marched upstairs, grumbling annoyedly. Adams walked over to the window. The phone didn't even finish ringing once before it was answered. "Glove," the voice on the other end said. "Go." "Adams here. Mission report follows. Everything is fine. We're having a good time. Rest and relaxation is proceeding more or less as planned. Expect SCP-105 back in containment by tomorrow noon at latest." "Cool," Cliff said. "How's it going?" "Like I said, it's fine," Adams said curtly. "She's fine. We're all fine. That's all." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. "Tomorrow noon, huh? You guys having a slumber party?"
Fuck off.
Adams hung up. She took a moment to vent her frustrations towards her boss with an angry groan, then dialed the next name on her list. Time passes. This is a bad idea. There's no way this can end except in tears. So was picking up that agent's gun and shooting back. As long as you're doing stupid things, it may as well go all the way. Yeah, but this is a different kind of stupid. Exactly. For one thing, you probably won't get killed. This probably won't get you killed or kidnapped, depending on where Adams goes. Depending on where Adams wants to go clubbing. She's your security detail. I don't think she's going to take you anywhere you're likely to get shivved, unless this is actually a complicated decommissioning. Are you going to wear them or not? Fine. Iris pulled on the boots and carefully got to her feet. The girl looked back at her through the mirror. Looked like a girl who'd spent the last 9 years locked up in a cell and still wasn't used to wearing civilian clothes. The high-heeled boots made her knees all wobbly. The skirt felt breezy and exposed. The scarf was uncomfortably reminiscent of a noose. This isn't fair. I'm supposed to be all confident and sexy at the end of the dress-up montage. Pretty Woman lied to me. She pulled off the boots and tossed them away and searched through her bags until she found red canvas sneakers she'd insisted on buying along with the more hazardous footwear Adams had picked out for her. She traded out the skirt for her jeans. The scarf could stay. The scarf was awesome. Downstairs, she heard the doorbell ring. Iris froze. Cautiously, she moved to the bedroom door and eased it open just a bit. She could hear the front door open. "Hey," Adams said. "You made it." "Yep," an unfamiliar female voice answered. "We're the only ones who could, though. The rest of us were swamped." It was short notice, not too surprised. Iris is getting dressed. She should be down in a few minutes. Iris sighed, relieved. She opened the door and walked downstairs. There were two unfamiliar women in the living room. One of them was taller and plump in a motherly kind of way. She dressed like it too, wearing comfy-looking jeans and a light blue blouse with ruffles. The other one had glasses, short wavy brown hair, and wore a sweater vest over a white blouse and dark brown slacks. Cool, Adam said. She's here, Iris. This is Blythe Roth and Chelsea Elliott, friends of mine. Hi, the shorter woman, Chelsea said, waving shyly. She had a friendly, if timid smile, and her oval glasses perched delicately on the end of her prominent nose. Good to meet you, the older woman, Blair, said. She gave Iris a friendly hug, which was oddly reassuring. Awesome. Everyone's friends. That should make it easier to celebrate, Adam said. Celebrate what? Your 21st birthday, of course, Adam said. It's a few years late, but every girl deserves to have one. A moment of silence as the three of the women in the room digested this new piece of information. Barkrol? Blair asked with some trepidation. Barkrol, Adams confirmed. Iris turned pale. And that is the end of Girls' Night Out. That is the end of Girls' Night Out dressing up. Next is Girls' Night Out getting drunk. And based on the amount of time, I'm probably just going to read all of the Girls' Night Out. All right. Girls' Night Out getting drunk. All right, Adam said, marching back and forth with the military bearings of a general addressing his troops. The name of the game tonight is Bar Crawl. 5 bars, 5 bartenders. You copy? Copy, Iris said reluctantly. Blair gave her a friendly, reassuring smile. Chelsea looked nervous, but grinned hopefully. First step, squad assignments, Adam said. Chelsea, your designated driver, you're in charge of driving us to each bar. You will also be in charge of making sure we drink enough water to avoid dehydration and hangovers. Due to your role, you will not be drinking tonight. Understood? Chelsea breathed a sigh of relief. Yeah, I'm fine with that, she said, smiling. Blair, your mother. You'll be drinking along with us, but feel free to take it slow. Your main job is to watch out for creepers and assholes. Redirect them away from Iris by any means you see fit. Question, Captain? Blair said, a note of humor in her voice. What weapons should I use to deter the enemy? Weapons? Adam scratched the back of her head. Shit, I don't know. Mace? Pepper spray? Probably none of us should be armed except maybe Chelsea. Boots and guns don't mix. Guns and me don't mix too well either, Chelsea said nervously, but I've got pepper spray. All right, then. No guns, Adam said. In any case, my job will be party girl. I'll order the drinks, pay for everything, and send the promising-looking young men Iris's way. Adams paused thoughtfully. Men, right? That's the way you swing? Yes, Iris said tentatively, but I wasn't really looking to... Right. No men then, just drinks. Girls' night out, good times. Any questions? Iris raised her hand. Yes, Iris? Adams asked. What's my job? Your job is birthday girl, Adams said. You decide if you're having fun, if you want to stay, and when you want to leave. Speaking of which, you should talk about the venues you want to go to. You're looking for skeezy and dangerous, high class and expensive, trendy and loud? I actually wasn't looking for anything too exciting, Iris admitted. Fair enough, cozy and comfortable then. Adams closed her eyes and ticked off some secret calculation on her fingers. Blair, what do you think of this? We'll start at the Armory, move to Spectrum, stop off for a cider at Nottingham's, move on to Wingdings, and end up at the Blue Velvet. Oh, that's a nice itinerary. Blair seemed to relax a bit. At least she didn't seem as on edge, which she did before. Yeah, that's good. None of those places are too scary for a first-timer. I think that's fine, too. Chelsea's too seemed to relax a bit. Iris felt inexplicably comforted by this. Right then, one last thing, Adam said. Her carefree, happy attitude fell away, and her voice turned very serious. I've arranged for a squad from MTF Sigma 4 to shadow our movements, she said. If there's an emergency, they will indicate it by dialing our phones on the emergency channel. There will be a sound like a long, solid tone, as if you're receiving an Amber Alert or emergency weather update. If that happens, we will follow to the letter any instructions given by them. Understood? Yeah, Blair said. Got it, Chelsea nodded. Good, and, I hate to be saying this, but Iris? If I try to run, the MTF will blow up my head, Iris said. The seizure device in her skull, replacing the old explosive collars, would see to that. She'd had it installed years back in exchange for privileges. Back then, when privileges entailed getting to spend the occasional afternoon inside a fenced-off area with an armed guard watching her every move. Right, Adams said, her grim expression softened. But as long as we'll behave, I think we can forget about that and just have a good time. Oh, wait, one last thing. Adams reached into her coat pocket and tossed a small plastic rectangle to Iris. Congratulations, you're legal. Iris looked down at the little card in her lap. It was either an official state ID or a very good facsimile. Just in case you get carded, I wouldn't try to use that to book airline tickets, though. It's not that good. I'm gonna pee and then we'll be off. Adam strode out of the room with too much confidence and vigor for someone who. With someone. With too much confidence and vigor for someone who. With her announced destination. The sound of the bathroom door closing forcefully was followed by an awkward silence. The first time we went bar hopping, Chelsea said, Andrea took us to this place called Molotov 2. A man with big tattoos on his arms and funny red marks on his cheeks tried to hit on me. She ended up fighting him and all his friends. We're not going anywhere like there tonight, are we? Like that tonight, are we? Iris asked. Hell no. I'd kill her if she did. Blair took a seat on the couch and patted the cushion next to her. So, what do you think of the world? It's different, Iris admitted. A lot has changed in 9 years. Oh, you don't know the half of it, Blair said, laughing. Everything seems so much faster now, Iris said. She took the offered seat, smoothing out her jeans with the palms of her hands. Everyone's carrying these weird-looking phones. Computers are smaller. Music is stranger. You'll get used to it eventually, Blair said. I've lived through it, and I'm still not used to it, Chelsea admitted. Andrea seems used to it, Iris said. Andrea's not a role model, Blair warned. More like a roller coaster, Chelsea muttered. She rubbed her elbow nervously. There was the sound of a flushing toilet. The sound of a flushing toilet could be heard from the back of the safe house. Well, Blair said, looks like we're gonna get going soon. She leaned in close to Iris. Don't try to match drinks with Andrea, she whispered. Just don't. Iris blanked. If Adams drank like she shopped, they were in for a rough night. All right, Adams shouted as she strode confidently back into the living room. Let's move out. 1-800-hours. The Armory. They walked through the door and passed out of the busy street outside into the blue-lit stillness of a nearly empty bar. The walls were covered with weapons of all shapes and sizes. There, a Japanese katana. Over there, and hopefully deactivated, a Thompson submachine gun. The televisions of the bar above the bar were showing some kind of baseball game. A friendly-looking blond man in a neatly pressed button-down shirt and slacks stood behind the counter, chatting with a waitress in a short plaid skirt and midriff shirt. He waved as the forewoman walked in. Yo, Dan! Adams said cheerfully. How's it hanging? Good to see you again, Andy, the bartender replied. Brought some friends along. Yeah, you remember Blair and Chelsea, right? She put an arm around Iris's shoulders, pulling the startled younger woman to the front of the group. This is Iris. She's celebrating her 21st birthday. Cool, Dan said. Congratulations. Let me see that ID. Iris nervously passed the ID to Dan, who looked it over carefully and handed it back with a wink. Well, I can confirm that you are indeed 21, Dan said. Do you want seats at the counter or a booth? Actually, do you mind if we take the couches? A bit cozier over there. Sure thing, Dan said. I'll bring over some drinks. First round's on me. He gave Iris a friendly smile and a wave, then began busying himself and conjuring up some kind of complicated concoction in his cocktail shaker. Dan's awesome, Adams explained as she collapsed into a low couch in the corner. She put her high heel pumps onto one of the coffee tables, stretching out her arms along the back of the couches as if she wanted to take up as much room in the world as possible. He started out here as a bartender, then moved up to manager. Keep this on down low, but he's in talks with the current owner to buy out this place. You come here often? Iris asked, taking a seat across from Adams. Andrea comes here often. She practically pays Dan's salary, Blair said. She sat down next to Iris, swatting Adam's feet with the palm of her hand. Get your feet down from there, Andrea. That's rude. You're not my mom, Adams protested, but she put her feet down anyway. Damn right I'm not your mom. If I was, I would have raised you better than that. Chelsea, meanwhile, took a seat in a large, comfy-looking armchair, with its back to the walls. She scanned the mostly empty bar nervously. Here we go, Dan said. He brought over a tray holding 4 shot glasses filled with some kind of layered green and white mixture. Shots on the house for the birthday girl and her friends. Can I get you guys anything else? Something for dinner? Old-fashioned, and a basket of sweet potato fries, thank you. Adam said. You? I'll have a lager, Blair said. Just water for me, Chelsea said. I don't really know, Iris admitted. I have no idea what any of this stuff is. I'll come back later then, Dan said. Cheers. Cheers. Adams reached over and picked up one of the shot glasses, then gestured for the other woman to follow suit. To Iris, she said. May this be the first of many nights out with friends. Cheers. Cheers, everyone agreed. Adams tossed her shot down in one gulp and placed the glass back down on the table with a solid clink. Iris stared awestruck, then turned to Blair, who was taking a smaller, more measured sip from her shot. Chelsea, meanwhile, just touched it to her lips to the glass and put it back down on the table, where it was immediately scooped up by Adams, who once again downed it in one shot. Don't try to match drinks with Adams. Right. Iris took a small sip of her drink. It tasted sweet and fizzy, but with an oddly unpleasant edge that made her, which she assumed was the alcohol. She took a larger sip, then decided to throw caution to the wind and drink the rest down in 2 gulps. The drink was cold, but it seemed to burn a little bit on the way down, and it settled in her belly with a warm little ember. What's in this? She asked. Damned if I know, Adams laughed. Dan's magic. He's one of the best bartenders I've ever met. Iris put the glass back down. She felt a little bit unsteady, but not too bad. Something exciting seemed to happen on the bowl game, as one of the few other people in the bar, a young man wearing a red and white jersey, let out an excited shout and jumped into the air. She glanced over and saw a young Asian woman sitting at the counter, dressed entirely in black. The other woman turned to glare at the loud man, then glanced over at Iris. Their eyes met. The Asian woman flinched, then turned back to her drink. Yeah, I know that feeling. Iris looked down at the cocktail menu. It didn't seem to make much sense. She finally settled on a drink that seemed interesting, just as Dan returned with a big basket of oddly colored french fries and 3 drinks. Excuse me, she said. Tell me about this Moscow mule. Oh, yeah, Dan said, grinning. I think you'll like that one. Something exciting happened over at the televisions. The basketball guy let out a loud groan of dismay. Iris glanced over. The Asian woman at the bar was nowhere to be seen. Iris frowned. The ladies' room door opened, and the Asian woman returned to her seat at the bar. Iris relaxed. False alarm. She leaned forward and tried one of the sweet potato fries. It was actually pretty tasty. Moscow mule's got a big... time passes. Moscow mule's got a bit of a kick to it, huh? Adams laughed as she put her arm around Iris's shoulders, guiding the unsteady younger woman down the block to their parked car. All right, next stop, Spectrum! Adams slid bonelessly into the back seat of Chelsea's sedan, slumping against the driver's side rear door. Despite her oddly sinuous movements, Adams' eyes were bright and alert. Not quite so with Blair, who was looking a bit distant as she primly took her seat next to Adams, leaving Iris to ride shotgun. Chelsea checked all of her mirrors before pulling out of the parking lot and onto the considerable, into the considerable, but still moving, traffic. Next stop is Spectrum, right? She asked. Yep, you just get onto the freeway and get off yeah, I can't remember right now. Just pull up your GPS or something. I know how to get to Spectrum, Chelsea said. She stopped at the red light, resting her hands on the 10 and 2 positions of the steering wheel. Adams, meanwhile, was busying herself by drumming along with the music on the radio. Her eyes were closed and her face was screwed up with a look of intense concentration as she lightly tapped her hands against her thighs, the car door, and the back of Chelsea's seat. Blair was resting her hands on her knees and staring straight ahead, smiling pleasantly. Iris rested her forehead against the cool glass of the car window and stared out at the sidewalk. An Asian woman dressed in all black was leaning against the streetlight, doing something with her cell phone. Their eyes met briefly, and then the other woman flinched and looked away, staring at her phone screen. 1930 hours. The original Spectrum Bar and Grill. Cover fee is $10, but they'll give you 2 vouchers for $5 each, Adams explained. If you guys are hungry, you can get food, but I usually spend it on drinks. Mostly just a way to make sure that anyone who comes spends money. Is that a problem? Iris wondered. Spectrum's kinda popular with celebrities. Sometimes people come in just to watch. There was a big line outside, but Adams walked past it and right up to the big man in the tight black t-shirt standing at the door. Hey, Gert, she shouted. Andrea, what's up, babe? The big man extended his hand, and Adams gave him a high five and a friendly hug. Got some friends with you tonight? 3 of them. I'll cover all of them. She slapped a pair of 20s into the bouncer's hand. Hey, an angry-looking guy in a dark gray suit shouted. How come she didn't have to get in line? 'Cause I like her, and I don't like you, Kurt growled. Going inside, babe. Adams herded the other 3 women past the front door. There was an explosion of light and sound. Loud rock music played over the loudspeakers as waitresses in tight jeans and black t-shirts expertly navigated big trays of sandwiches and pizzas through the crowd. Towards the red Naiad booths. I'm not going to try and pronounce that word correctly because I'm going to get it wrong. Framed photos of celebrities hung on every wall, many of them signed in Sharpie or silver pen. The entire place was an air of barely controlled bedlam. Iris was relieved, then, when Adams led them past all that chaos, up a narrow flight of stairs and into a quiet upstairs lounge. A young blonde in black leather tended bar, while a few people milled around a stage where a man wearing a long cashmere scarf was tuning his guitar. Hey, Trish, Adam said. Who's the music? Hey, Andrea. Some local guy. He any good? Don't know. Never heard him before. Guess we'll find out tonight. Adam slid into a bar stool and gestured for the other woman to take seats at the counter as well. Anyway, this is Iris, she said, patting the younger woman on the shoulder. This is her 21st birthday party. Cool, Trish said, smiling. Mind if I see that ID? Iris handed it over. Trish gave it a quick glance and handed it back. It took Iris a couple of tries to put it into her pocket. So, what'll it be? I don't know. Shot of cinnamon whiskey all around? I'm not drinking, Chelsea said. Oh yeah, then 1 shot for Iris and Blair, and make mine a double. Trish rolled her eyes. She began laying out shot glasses into the corner. Onto the counter. So, Iris asked awkwardly. I know Adams, but what exactly do you 2 do for the company? Oh, I guess we didn't mention that. I'm Hilda's assistant, Blair said. Hilda? Iris asked. A couple more people wearing plaid shirts and trucker caps came up the stairs and stood by the stage. They started chatting with the blonde young man on stage. Friends of his, maybe? Killed a moose, Adams interrupted. Director of Site 19. Director of 19. She picked up the full shot glasses and passed one to Blair and one to Iris, keeping the highball for herself. Cheers, she said. Cheers, Blair replied. Adams and Blair drank their drinks down in one shot. Iris took a careful sip of hers. It tasted like red-hot candles mixed with burning. You're at Site 19? She asked, as Trish returned to refill some drinks at the other end of the bar. That's not exactly nearby, is it? Adams, Blair, and Chelsea gave each other surprised looks. Then understanding seemed to dawn. A sly smile crept over Adams' face. Think I should tell her? She asked. Let her find out for herself, Blair said, grinning. I wouldn't dare spoil the surprise. Iris stared down at her drink. She gulped the whole thing down in one shot. It's better to not jump down the deep end logic. It's better to jump down the deep end. I can words and reads. And immediately wished she hadn't, as fire shot into her sinuses, making her cough. Adams laughed out loud and thumped Iris's back. Careful there, short stuff, she said. The night's still young. Up on the stage, the young blonde man cleared his throat into the mic. Hi, he said. I'm Tom Dylan Porter, and this is a song I call Your Love is a River. Oh, Lord, Adams groaned loudly. The musician gave her an angry glare, but began to play his guitar anyway. He was okay, Iris decided. Adams seemed to disagree. She did shots the entire time he was performing. God, that was torture! Adams groaned as they staggered out the front door. She nearly collided with a young woman wearing a black leather jacket and a newsboy cap waiting in line. Fucking hacks! Iris stared intently through the swimming, swirling world. Blair was quietly walking oddly stiffly and upright, seeming to have gotten even more prim and proper over the course of the night. Chelsea had the haggard, harried look of a mouse being stalked by a very large and hungry cat. They poured Adams into the passenger seat, then Blair and Iris took the back seats. Chelsea's lips were set in a firm and resolute line as Adams rolled down the window and took a deep breath of the cold night air. You suck! Adams shouted at no one in particular. Iris glanced out the window at the crowd waiting in line. The woman who Adams had nearly collided with was glaring angrily at her. Iris sympathized. Interim, 15 minutes prior. Command Vehicle, Mobile Task Force Sigma 4. Chain Chomps. This has to be the most boring assignment ever, Harkin said. He picked up his fast food hamburger and took an unenthusiastic bite, resting his hand on the steering wheel of the supposed police car. All right then, what's next on their agenda? According to the itinerary, a little Irish pub uptown, Mario said. We'll wait until they say they're heading out, and then we'll move on ahead. He picked up his radio and spoke low and crisp into the handset. Sigma 4, report in. 1, okay, replied a staticky voice over the radio. Still nothing going on. 2, no updates. I've seen more action at a church picnic. Hello? A woman's voice shouted. Maria glanced up at a young Asian woman dressed in black leather and a newsboy cap knocking on the front passenger's window. Harkin glanced over and quietly put a hand on his sidearm. Maria waved him off and rolled down the car window. Yeah, miss, can I help you? He asked. I was just wondering if you could direct me to the Spectrum, the woman asked, resting her hand on the roof of the car. Right across the street, Maria said. The woman rolled her eyes and smiled. Sorry about that. Thanks, officer. No problem, Maria said. He rolled up the window as the woman jogged across the street. A brief moment later, his cell phone beeped, an incoming text message. He checked the message, picked up the radio again. All right, pull in, he said. Teams 1 and 2 proceed to the next stop. I'll escort the package. Movement from several different rooftops and darkened alleyways. The perimeter team from Mobile Task Force Sigma 4 retreated from their overwatch positions. Two of them rendezvoused with Harkin and Mario. The rest piled into their vehicles. Within a few moments, they were on the road heading towards the next spot on the itinerary. Harkin started up the car as Mario watched the entrance of the Spectrum, the two shooters waiting to deploy at any sign of trouble. Package in sight, Mario said, as the four women left the bar. Wait, one, Adams nearly bumped into some drunk waiting in line to get in. Aside from that, the four women climbed into their car without any incident. Mary nodded. All right, he said. Keep them in view, but don't follow them too closely. Got it, Harkin said. The cop car carrying four members of Mobile Task Force Sigma 4 headed onto the freeway. A blue rune on the roof of the black and white glowed briefly, then faded away. Harkin didn't even notice when he made a left turn towards the suburbs, while the dark red car carrying the package turned onto the freeway headed uptown. 2015 hours, Nottingham's pub and restaurant. There was a big crowd gathered in front of the picturesque little pub when the four women walked in. They seemed to be paying close attention to a man standing on a low stage, reading off trivia questions in a loud, intense voice. A big-bellied, red-faced man with a white Santa Claus beard grinned at them as they walked in. "Hey, love," he said in a heavy Irish accent. "You're late for trivia night." No, I'm not going to be able to do an Irish accent. Brain isn't on it right now. "You're late for trivia night." "Aw, shit. Is that tonight?" Adams groaned. "Sorry, Sean. Completely forgot. This is Iris. She's celebrating 21 years." "Really? That's nice." Sean replied, a friendly twinkle in his eyes. "Mind if I see some ID, love?" Time passes. Also, hey, Nukihashi, good to have you fallen by. Adams leaned back in her chair and took a big gulp of her double scotch on the rocks, glowering balefully at the other pubgoers who seemed really intent on the trivia questions. Iris took a sip of a frightening-looking black foamy liquid that was told was chocolate stout. It didn't taste much like chocolate. She took a glance at the other members of the party. Chelsea was staring intently at her cherry cola. If she were a cat, her heckles would be up. Blair was outside, allegedly taking a cigarette break, possibly also taking an Adams break. The whole bar crawl thing was starting to wear a bit thin, Iris decided. It was just the same thing over and over again. Go to yet another wild locale where everyone seemed to know Andrea, order yet another round of weird tasting drinks that made her feel funny and didn't taste good. Listen to a bunch of loud people yelling incomprehensibly. "Hey, Adams?" she said tentatively. "Hold that thought, love," Adams said. "I need to douse some flames." The older woman got unsteadily to her feet and marched into the ladies' room. Iris sighed and stared morosely at her drink. "Not having fun?" Chelsea asked. "Not really," Iris admitted. "It's all really loud. I think I'm getting a headache." "Yeah, I feel you," Chelsea whispered. She was looking around at the big crowd, biting her lower lip nervously. "Tell you what, when Andrea gets back, just tell her you want to end after Windings. That place is a lot quieter, mostly a hot wings place. It'll be a nice way to end the evening." "If you say so," Iris said dubiously. "I guess this isn't my thing, not like it is for Andrea." "Andrea's..." Chelsea waved her hands helplessly. "Unique." "The single most extroverted person in the universe," Blair offered. She sat down across from Iris, next to Chelsea. "That's not a bad way to think about it," Chelsea admitted. "She's fun to be around, but she can be incredibly exhausting." "No kidding," Blair said. Iris took another sip of her chocolate stout. She grimaced at the bitter taste and pushed it away. "So, Chelsea," she said, by way of chancing for the conversation. "I know that I know what you do and what Adam does. What exactly do you do at the company? Chelsea gulped nervously. I'm a botanist by trade, but she glanced over at Blair. She can't tell you, Blair said softly but firmly, not in public. Oh, one of those jobs then. Same job description as me? Iris asked. Um, in a manner of speaking, Chelsea said nervously. She was fiddling with the hem of her sweater dress, playing with a loose yarn that had started to unravel. Iris looked away from the obviously distressed young woman, feeling guilty. As she did so, the front door of the pub opened and an Asian woman walked in, wearing a blue button-down shirt over black jeans and a red scarf. Iris suddenly felt very cold. It was the same woman she'd locked eyes with in the armory. And if she didn't miss her guess, the same one Adams had bumped into outside the Spectrum. The clothes were different, but the face was the same. What did Andrea say? Once is an accident, twice is a coincidence, three times. Three times is enemy action, Iris whispered. What's that? Iris asked as she flopped back down into her seat. Don't turn around, Iris whispered. And don't look directly at her. But the Asian woman sitting at the end of the counter? The one in the red scarf? Chelsea asked. I think I saw her back in the armory and at Spectrum, Iris said. Adams sat up very straight, and the vaguely distant look in her eyes went away. Are you sure? She asked calmly. 90%. Is she part of the MTF? Iris said. Sigma 4 is all men. Adams pulled out her smartphone and tapped a few buttons. They're not answering, she said grimly. Suggestions? Suggestions? Blair asked. She put down her glass of cider and was taking deep, slow breaths. One hand slipped into her purse and pulled out a canister of pepper spray. It could be a coincidence or a mistake. In any case, I think we should settle up and exfiltrate. Adams said. She pulled a couple of bills out of her pocket, folded them in half, and left them under a salt shaker. When I give the signal, I want you guys to get up and walk out of the bar. Get to the car and wait there. If I don't come out in, let's say, 15 minutes, leave without me and call in the big guns. What are you going to do? Iris asked. Adams gave the younger woman a confident wink. She took a deep breath and walked across the room straight towards the Asian woman sitting across the bar. Hey, she said, giving the stranger her biggest, most winning smile. Can I buy you a drink? That's the end of Girls' Night Out getting drunk. On to... Yeah, we'll do Girls' Night Out Raising Hell as well. A little bit of a longer video, but oh well. Spider knew that she was in deep shit when the tall woman accompanying KTE 11971 Green Ember walked straight up to her and tried to buy her a drink. It was supposed to be Girls' Night Out. Physics Division was about to carry out a readiness exercise that would last at least a month. Tonight was the last chance to get some R&R before 3 months of grueling training. Spider had suggested the night out with Kitten and Fox, both as a means of blowing off some steam, and as a chance to get to know her taciturn co-workers. If only Kitten hadn't got caught back at base doing some emergency preparations for the training exercise. If only Fox hadn't had to deal with a last-minute emergency with one of her team members. If only Spider hadn't seen a goddamn known threat entity doing shots in a bar like a college kid on spring break. Following them had probably been a mistake, but the bulletins were clear. 11971 Green Ember was a response level 3 target. Any agent catching sight of her in the wild was to maintain contact until strike assets could be brought into play for capturing and questioning or elimination. The problem was that Spider was a technician, not a spy. Her tradecraft sucked, and she knew it. There was, after all, only so much a 2-week seminar could do. Identifying the Overwatch team and diverting them with a Lotus stream, she could do. Keeping a watch on 4 women inside a crowded bar, apparently not something she was particularly good at. She had a feeling shit was going down when the group in the corner glanced over at her and started talking very seriously. When the tall, leggy brunette with the come-hilter smile walked over, Spider knew she was screwed. "Hey," the woman said, grinning seductively. "Can I buy you a drink?" No, that's fine," Spider said, keeping her face half turned away from the mahogany-haired woman. "I'm waiting for a friend." "I can be your friend." The enemy slid into the bar stool next to her and gave her a sultry, smoldering look. "I could be your very best friend in the world, hon." "That's okay," Spider said. "I'm not really interested." The other three members of the party, including the KTE, got up from their booth and left the bar. Spider flinched. Big mistake. "Right," the enemy said curtly. She put her hand into her jacket pocket. "Now we got a choice. Either we can quietly head out the back door to have a little chat, or I can cause some noise and we can disturb the nice people trying to have a quiet evening. Your choice." "I'll go quietly," Spider said softly. "Back door. Now." Spider got up from the bar stool and walked out the door, carefully keeping her hands away from her sides. The alleyway behind the pub was quiet and dark, not a soul in sight, plenty of dark places away from the streetlights. Not a bad place for an execution. The tiny bell in her pocket jingled once. Spider breathed a sigh of relief, which immediately turned into a grasp of surprise when the stranger grabbed her and dragged her into the alley. "All right," the enemy growled, twisting Spider's collar as she pushed her up against the brick wall. "Who the hell are you and why are you following us?" The silence that followed was interrupted by the click of an automatic pistol being taken off its safety. "I think the better question might be, who the hell are you and what the fuck are you doing to our friend?" Fox sneered. "Thank God," Spider thought. "Backup's arrived." Switching viewpoints. "Ah, shit," Adams thought. "I should have known she'd have backup." Her drink-addled mind was working overtime. Was this a coordinated hit? A chance meeting? Pure fluke of luck? Mugging gone wrong? "It's all right," Adams said, coolly sliding her hands towards the cell phone in her back pocket. "You can have my wallet and Someone kicked her knees out from under her and pinned her face down on the concrete. Adams tasted blood, dirt, and concrete dust. She struggled, but a pair of strong hands pinned her arms behind her back, putting her expertly into a joint-wrenching wrist lock that promised dire consequences for continued resistance. "Frisker kitten," a low voice growled. "Spider, what the hell's going on?" "Three women just walked out of the pub," the Asian woman said. "The blonde is the one in the bulletin that just went around last week about the Foundation reacting their special assault force." "Oh, shit," Adams thought. "Shit. Katie 11971?" the low voice growled, the muzzle of the pistol pressed tightly to the back of Adams' head as another pair of hands frisked her roughly. "Where is it now?" "Probably out front. Dark sedan. Three others, including Katie. They had perimeter support, but I've had them chasing Lotus Dreams for the past half hour." "All right," the rough voice said. "If we wait for a strike, they're gonna spook. We'll do the snatch and grab ourselves. Kitten, take one guard, I'll take the other. You go for the target." "What about this one?" a third voice asked. This one was toneless, motionless, a gray sort of voice. "I'd rather not kill her if I can help it. Hand me your taser," the rough voice said. Something behind Adam's eyes went click. She knew that was a suicide move, not with the gun pressed against the back of her head or her arm pinned behind her back, but if what the enemy was saying is true, if the MTF was distracted and they were going after Iris, Blair, and Chelsea, if she moved fast enough, moved strong enough, maybe she could throw her attacker off and get clear of the muzzle of the gun before the other person fired. Not much of a chance, but it was the only chance she'd have. She was tensed up to move when there was a bright flash of blue light and the sound of a simulated shutter snapping. Point of view change. There was a flash of light and an electronic-sounding click. Spider turned. There was a dark silhouette standing in the alleyway. Female, blonde. She had a smartphone in her hand. She had just taken a shot of the scene and a single line from the bulletin regarding KTE 11971. Subject has limited reality-altering abilities and can reach through a photograph to move and manipulate objects pictured. Oh, crap, Spider whispered. She went for the only weapon she had left, a ritual knife in her right boot. There was a loud shout behind her. She saw out of the corner of her eye a ghostly hand reach out of nowhere and struggle briefly with Fox for the pistol. The woman on the ground moved terrifyingly fast. She twisted her body around, somehow causing Fox to lose her grip. The heel of her hand clipped Fox's jaw hard, sending her reeling into Kitten. Kitten shoved the stunned Fox away, ruthlessly clearing her sight line, raised the taser. A shot rang out. Kitten sprawled to the ground, clutching her side. A flattened bullet clattered to the floor. She gasped for breath, obviously winded by the bullet's impact. The blonde stood a few feet away. Her trembling, bleeding hand held Fox's pistol. She quickly lowered it so it was pointing at Spider's head. "Freeze, motherfuckers!" she shouted. Point of view change. "Freeze, motherfuckers!" Iris shouted. Her heart was pounding. Her hands were bloodied. She wanted to throw up, but Beatrix had always told her that a loud, confident shout would do more than bullets to get the enemy to think twice about attacking. The kneeling Asian woman froze. She was holding a knife in one hand, a curved hunting knife with a hilt that looked like bone or ivory. What was it that Lombardi always said about a guy with a knife? Was it 20 or 30 feet that they can get you in? Or was that while the gun was holstered? The enemy looked into Iris's eyes. They stared at each other for a long moment. The Asian woman put her knife on the ground and held her hands above her head. The only sounds were Adam's labored breathing, the groaning red woman struggling to get to her feet, and the gasping of the tall woman with freckles and light brown hair. Headlights, the sound of squealing tires. Iris saw a red-brown sedan drive up to the curb and into the alleyway. "Get in!" Chelsea shouted as Blair opened the passenger side door. Adams got on her feet and racing towards the back door, diving past Iris and, if the sounds were any indication, tumbling headfirst into the car's back seat. Iris backed away slowly from the three strangers, keeping the gun trained on them in turn. She climbed into the front passenger seat, slammed the door shut. Point of view change. "Shit," Spider growled as the KTE climbed into the car and started to drive away. She hesitated. Kitten and Fox were both down if she pursued. "Go!" Kitten gasped, clutching at her side. "I'll watch Fox. Don't let them get away." Right. Spider scooped up her SCP, I'm not going to try and pronounce that, and ran off to the dark gray sedan. She pulled the smartphone from her pocket and pulled out her grimoire. There might not be very much contagion between the skin cells on her jacket collar and the well-dressed brunette who had left them there, but if she worked quickly and kept the car in sight, she could still use the connection to. She slammed into a tall Chinese woman in a black coat with short black hair. Spider let out a squawk that turned into a cry of dismay as her smartphone fell out of her hand and clattered down a storm drain. Shit! She grabbed for her phone, but it was too far to reach. She could see it there, right beyond her fingertips, LCD screen glowing. She looked up. Too late. The car was gone. Spider searched angrily for the woman who had bumped into her, but that woman was nowhere to be seen. "Ciao Sola!" she cursed. "Holy shit!" Blair gasped as the car sped away. "You guys okay?" I'm fine," Adams protested, pushing Blair's hands away. "Just got a bit banged up. Iris?" Iris took a deep, ragged breath and dropped the pistol into her lap. Adams was oddly pleased to see that the safety catch was on. Good girl, she thought. "Who were those guys?" Chelsea asked. "Church? Insurgency?" They called her Katie, Adams realized. KTE, Coalition, she said softly. Chelsea's eyes were big, wide, and very, very scared. "Iris," Blair said, "I need you to do me a favor." "What?" Iris asked. "I need you to take that gun, strip it down, and toss all the pieces out of the window," Blair said. Good idea, Adams thought. Global Occult Coalition puts tracking chips in all their weapons. Shit. Iris popped the retaining pin from the pistol, stripped the side, leaving blood behind on the seat. Adams frowned. She grabbed Iris's hand and held it up to the light. "You're bleeding." "I'm fine," Iris said, gulping. "I just remembered when I said that reaching through the phone was like pushing through wet sand. I scraped my hand up doing it." GOC sorcerers can track you by your blood, Adams said, taking the pistol. We need to clean this. Blair? Got it, Blair said. She pulled a lace-edged handkerchief out of her purse and began carefully wiping down the weapon. How the hell did they find us in the first place? Chelsea wondered. Is there a mole where we preached? Just bad luck if what those three were saying is true, Adams thought. Fucking shame, unlike those bars. She fumbled for her phone, realizing that it had been taken from her by their attackers. Damn, Command is going to tear me a new asshole for this. Iris, Blair asked. Are you okay, hun? Iris didn't respond. She was wrapping her brand new scarf around her scraped knuckles to avoid getting blood all over her clothes in Chelsea's car. Hey, Adam said, putting her hand on the girl's shoulder. You did good back there, thanks. Iris nodded. Sure. The car continued down the freeway. What do we do now? Chelsea asked. We can't go back to the safe house, Blair said sternly. And they know your car. Sorry, hon, but you're gonna have to ditch it. Oh, shit. And I just finished paying for it, too. They left the car sitting by the road in the bad part of town. Blair disassembled the gun and tossed the pieces into the river while Adams hopped the fence into the all-night parking lot. A few minutes and some fiddling with wires later, the foreman piled into a white minivan and drove off into the night. The minivan's previous owner had left some blankets in it. Iris wrapped herself in one and rested her head against the foggy window as the minivan drove through the desert towards Site 17. She drifted in and out of sleep, listening to the soothing sound of the minivan's engine and Blair and Adams' whispered conversation. What about the stuff you brought at the mall? I'll have someone pick our stuff up at the safe house later, Adams explained. For now, let's get back on site. I've got reports to make. O5's not gonna like this, Blair pointed out. They're gonna say you recklessly endangered an important asset. O5 will be right, Adams admitted. But they're going to like even less that the Cox know we've reactivated Omega-7. The one who was shadowing us talked about how we've reactivated our special assault force. Someone spilled the beans about Alpha Niner. Well, shit. That's all we need. They continued along the road in silence. Hey, Adams. Yeah, Blair? All in all, this is still a better night than Molotov 2. You're never gonna let me live that down, are you? Iris drifted to sleep with the dark desert speeding past the window and Adams chuckling in her ears. Time passes. They drove the van through the gate and parked it in the underground parking lot. Security would handle the disposal of the vehicle. They were good at that. The site was silent at this hour. Most of the doctors and staff were sleeping. Only the night shift security was up and about. They passed through the gates and the identity scanners into the steel-walled elevator, which rapidly descended into the earth and opened up on a sterile white hallway with thin colored lines painted on the walls. I'm hungry, Blair said. Anyone want to eat? I could eat, Adams admitted. Yeah. Chelsea agreed. Iris nodded mutely. They headed into the site cafeteria, darkened and still for this late hour. Blair rummaged through the refrigerators, managing to find some bread and sandwich fixings. Chelsea cleared off a table, and Adams poured some drinks from the soda fountain in the corner. Iris sat down at the table. She stared at her bloodied hands for a long time. Then, as Blair set the turkey and Swiss cheese sandwich down in front of her, Iris finally began to cry. Warm, soft arms wrapped around her shoulders, hugging her close. It's all right, Blair gently said. Blair's gentle voice said, You did good, girl. Time passes. It was another 4 hours before the interviews and debriefings ended. She was interrogated about everything that happened from the moment that she and Adams had left the site. Reliving the day about twice as exhausting as living it had been. The site had switched to day shift when the security guard closed the door and her containment cell behind her. Closed the door of her containment cell behind her. Iris collapsed onto her bed, not even bothering to take off her clothes. She rolled over onto her back and stared up at what she knew was the distant ceiling of the overly tall cell. She had done well, she knew. Taken decisive action using the camera on her phone. Apologies for that. Using the camera on her phone to disarm the enemy from a distance. Her actions had probably saved Adam's life. and almost certainly given her an opportunity to escape. Then why do I feel so sick? Maybe it was just the hangover. Or maybe it was because seeing that gun at Adams's head reminded her of the other time she'd seen a gun pressed against the head of a friend. I can't do this anymore, Iris had whimpered. You read the Dan Tenson report. My powers are gone. I know that Dan Tenson would have said anything to get you girls released. Adrian had said, but I also know you can't run forever. They'll find you, Iris, and the next person they send won't be as kind-hearted as I am. I don't care. I'd rather die than go back to that place. I know, Adam said sympathetically. But would you let me die? Adrian had tossed a photo onto the ground, drawn his pistol, and put it to his head. I'm going to count to 3, he said. And then I'm going to pull the trigger. There's a photograph of the internal mechanisms of my pistol there. You know what to do. 1. Adrian. 2. No! 3. The pistol's hammer had landed with a loud click, and Iris had fallen to her knees, the photograph in one hand and the pistol's firing pin in the other. She had dropped both onto the ground and begun to cry. Warm, soft arms wrapped themselves around her from behind. It's all right, Beatrix had said. You did good, girl. Iris rolled over in her cot. She wouldn't get to sleep for many hours, and for the first time in many years, she would not wake in time for breakfast. And that's how it went, Clef said. Pity you ladies didn't get to have your slumber party. Fuck off. Adams was still nursing a bruised shoulder and bloodied nose, not to mention a horrific hangover, 20 hours without sleep, and a wounded ego. She was in no mood for bullshit. You don't get to blow me up, not this time, Adams, Clef said sternly. For fuck's sake, you went out drinking with a skip. What the hell were you thinking? I had 2 backups and a mobile task force on perimeter watch. Not that it did you any good. The Gawk sorceress had them tripping balls for hours. Best guess is that she got them just before heading into that 3rd bar. Nottingham's, Adams admitted. Probably used the 2 previous stops to scope out your backup so she could take them out. If she'd been in a less merciful mood, we could have had an entire dead mobile task force on our hands. Did you think about that? Furthermore, he said, half the Overseer Council wants to see Alpha Niner crash and burn. You gave them ammo to use against us before the thing has even gotten off the ground. Clef's lip curled into a sneer. So, is it worth to play Sex in the City with SCP-105? Adams's jaw worked as she gritted her teeth angrily. Her hands clenched to the arms of her chair so tight it creaked. Sir, can I speak freely? That has never been a problem with you, Clef said deadpan. But yes, go ahead. Last night, Iris tore up her hand saving my life, Adam said. And then she shot a woman saving my life again. And she did that when all she needed to do was escape was just walk away. The reason she did this is because she and I are friends. Because we bonded over stupid things like shopping for clothes and going out for drinks. Not because an overseer strong-armed her into joining a mobile task force she never wanted to be a part of in the first place. You're saying that last night was a step forward? Clef said incredulously. I'm saying that the 2 most important things in any army are trust and teamwork. Without those, you don't have soldiers, you have conscripts or fanatics. A conscript will fight to stay alive. A fanatic will die for a cause. A soldier will kill to save the person standing next to them. The clock ticked away the seconds. Clef shook his head. That's how you want to justify this to the Overseers, he asked. As a team-building exercise gone wrong. Adam steepled her fingers. Sir, if it weren't for the fact that the Coalition knew that we were planning to activate Alpha Niner, last night would have been written off as harmless shenanigans. Was Brazil any different? Clef's smile took on a distinctly predatory air. The difference between this and Brazil, he said, is that I have the full support of the Overseer Council, and I was the teacher's pet of one of them. Who do you have, Adams? Just you, sir, Adams said. Clef's stare was cold. Get out. Adams complied. Clef buried his face in his hands and let out a long low sigh. I should never have let you bring me in on this. Having second thoughts? A woman's voice said from nowhere in particular. Realizing just how deep in a pile of shit you got me into, Clef said. Realizing one of the ceiling tiles slid back, lowering a projector into place. The image of a middle-aged woman in a chartreuse bathrobe appeared on the wall of Clef's office. She was sipping a cup of cocoa. I remind you, Doctor, that it was your idea to bring Adams in on this operation, 05-7 said. If your portage is performing below standards, you have no one to blame but yourself. It's not that she's performing below standards, it's that she's performing in the wrong fucking ways, Clef complained. 7 smirked. A sentiment I expressed to you after that nonsense with the giant steel fist. Do you remember what you said to me then? If you don't want me to do things my way, you wouldn't have told me to do it in the first place, Clef quoted. Damn you, ma'am, you're enjoying this. Damn right I'm enjoying this, 7 said. Seeing you put up with a willful but talented subordinate is satisfying on a deeply personal level. Clef leaned back in his chair and grunted noncommittally. Is that all, ma'am? No, 7 said. It is not. She leaned back in her chair in a gesture that mirrored Clef's own. It occurs to me that the significant factor in last night's escapades was that the force that attacked you was also disorganized and uninformed. We can't count on that being the case in the future. With the GOC confirming that we've reactivated Alpha Niner, they're going to upgrade their readiness. Next time, it's not going to be a few lightly armed off-duty agents. If Alpha Niner were at full force, I think we could take on a strike team, Clef said. But that's not going to be for a few weeks at soonest. Whereas the Coalition can move to full readiness within 48 hours, 7 concluded, leaving about a month-long gap where we're vulnerable, unless we take some drastic measures. You want me to go to Phase 2? I am ordering you to go to Phase 2 before the Council vote. It's too early, Clef protested. We still haven't confirmed the new memory structures are holding. If she... Do it, Clef. 7 out. The projector retracted into the ceiling, and the top refitted back into place. Clef took a moment to curse his luck. He pulled his hat over his balding pate. I assume that's paint. And grabbed his jacket. He stormed out of his office, past the pimply-faced office drone that Human Resources had assigned to him, and Adams as their administrative assistant. Be on, Clef shouted. Clear my schedule for the rest of the afternoon and tell anyone who calls asking for me to fuck off. Yes, sir, the kid whimpered. What should I tell them you're doing? Clef smiled, turned positively gleeful. Tell them I'm seeing a dog about a suit, he said. And that is the end of Girls' Night Out. We're already at the hour and 30-minute mark, so I'm not going to read the rest of the stories I was considering today, but yeah. Again, that was Girls' Night Out, dressing up, getting drunk, raising hell. All by Dr. Clef. A rather fun story, and definitely one that, on one hand, I didn't enjoy because there were so many female voices. I can't do that many and remember them all in my head. But yeah, overall the story itself was actually really nice. I did enjoy it. Hopefully it comes through well on the actual, on the recording side, but if not, I'll at one point get to redoing this, especially since we're moving to edited stuff now. But yeah. Thank you very much for coming, Nukiashi, and anyone else who is showing up to the stream. It's been a joy, though at this point I believe we're moving SCP stuff to strictly being YouTube videos so that I can edit them down. I'll still be streaming games and whatnot, so yeah. Other than that, if there are new people on Twitch and you want to see more SCP stuff, follow me on my YouTube, which is down below. And if you're on YouTube, if you liked, please leave a like. If you want to subscribe, please do so. I would love to have you follow. Or I would love to have you subscribe to see more. But this is where we ended today. Again, thank you everyone for coming. It's been such a pleasure reading for you, and goodbye.